Hello and welcome to this episode of the World's Best Coaches series. This is the series where we're going around the world and interviewing the best of the best when it comes to the coaching and consulting world. Today, I'm joined by Mark Danaher, the owner and founder of Careers by Design. Mark, I'm going to hand over to you for a second just to introduce yourself and your firm and what you do.
Thank you very much. So I'm an executive coach, and really my focus of the firm is really helping humanize business owners and professionals and leading them to greater success, better work-life integration, and improve relationships. Because typically we'll focus on all the numbers, but we don't think about that human interaction that really makes a difference and how people are going to react and move forward in their lives.
Okay, cool. So tell me a little bit about your journey into executive coaching. So when did it begin? And how did you get into it? Was that always the plan for you?
No, I actually started off as a school counselor working in a high
Oh,
school.
wow.
And I ended up in at a career center and doing career counseling. And what happened was I had a number of teachers that kept coming to me and like at the end of the year, like, oh, I'm going to be leaving. I want some help doing a transition into a new career. And so I actually started off as a career coach from that point where I did a lot of career coaching, career counseling. And that was really interesting. I loved doing it. And then what happened probably about 10 years into my career in education, I was running a career center and we got new leadership. And that leadership that came in didn't value anything that was done before them. So they closed a lot of programs down, and I was one of the programs. And so everything I had built up disappeared overnight. And I was burnt out. I was put in a corner like, here, we're going to put a job over here for you. We don't know what we're going to do with you. I ended up leaving. But what happened was I had reached out to a coach during that time. And at that point, that was someone who helped me really look at what do you want to do in life? How do you want to stay connected? You have a lot to offer. And, nobody else was telling me that. I'd gone to therapy and done things, but nothing really helped. But once I connected with a coach, made a huge difference in my life, allowed me to get some of that focus, the goal setting, put all those pieces into place. And I started off doing career coaching, working that. But eventually, what happened was I started to get more and more leaders coming forward, trying to figure out their career. And it became an opportunity for me. I said, not many people are talking to leaders on the human side. How do you connect in with your team? How do you connect in with your family? And that's how it led into it, is just kind of slowly building up. And so now that's what I do. I really focus on those executive business owners who really want to kind of bring in the human touch into the world.
Awesome, that's fantastic. So tell me a little bit about, going from a job into business ownership as well. It's quite a big leap. How did that go for you?
Again, having a coach was so helpful because we went through all the different aspects of how to set up the business. What do you need to do? How do you do postings? What are the different analytics you need to look at? So for me, not having any of that background, that was a huge piece. And we walked step by step and we slowly built different pieces along the way. And the biggest thing, it didn't have to be perfect. We just had to get it moving, and I had to take action. And the nice part about having a coach and that business coach was accountability. That next week when I was going to meet with them, I had to have things done. I couldn't like skip out on it. So that was a huge way that kind of got me into figuring out all those pieces.
Absolutely. It's one of my favorite things about having a business coach. It's just they're not always there to just kind of, guide you in that sense, but it's to ask the right questions. And it's keeping you accountable to your actions, and I wouldn't skip a week without having one. So yeah.
Yeah, it's huge.
Awesome. So looking at, going into the client side now, what I like to ask on this series is what are some of the most common kind of problems that you're seeing that business owners are facing at the moment?
Um, some of the problems they're facing is they're concerned about AI. One of the things they're not certain about because they're looking big picture, they're looking at a number of different things, but AI has creeped into the world, right? It's there, it's part of what you're going to do. And I think some of the businesses are not sure how to embrace it. Um, and I kind of look at it this way. If you're going to look at in the way it's going to impact their business, I always use the analogy with them, say, look, if you go back to when Blockbuster was a big video piece where you could go and get the VCR tapes and then DVDs, and then along came Netflix, and Netflix saw the next adventure of doing streaming, and Blockbuster never did it, right? They never embraced it. They ended up going out of business. And so that's what I try to talk to leaders right now is that AI is here to stay. But how are you ethically going to put it into your business model? And then how can you use it to be more productive within the roles that are happening within your company? And then making sure that it's done in a way that they understand how it's going to impact and the way that they can use it so it's effective. So that's the big one that I'm really dealing with. Some of the other pieces really are like if you think about CrowdStrike and what happened recently, the
Mm.
stability of the cloud network, right? What's out there and the impact that it can have on your own business. And so people are trying to look at what are all the different tech pieces. And then the other part is some are really concerned about the geopolitical tensions right now between what's happened in the US, what's happening overseas, and all the different elections, and not sure how the world's going to come out
Mm.
and what's going to be the business climate at that point. So they've been really trying to think about, you know, they're a little concerned with what's happening in November. What's going to go, who's going to be the new president, those type of things, which has affected some of their decisions going forward, especially if they deal with the government. Some of their decisions, if they have contracts and so forth, they're trying to figure out, is it going to stay and I'm going to have that contract, or will it change with a new administration?
I mean, it's very worrying and anxious times, I'd say.
Yes.
But touching on the AI part, I had this conversation the other day with somebody where, the masses are worried about AI taking jobs, but what we were discussing was, it should be your worry should be the people that are going to utilize AI to make themselves better at what they do in their job. And I think that was really powerful because I think it will be the people and the businesses that adapt and utilize it to make their products and services better. They are going to be the ones that are going to excel in that way. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. I think it's, if you adapt it and bring it in and show how you can be more effective and efficient, and it's definitely getting new perspectives, because I think sometimes too, it can almost be like an additional team member, depending on how you set up the role to do some brainstorming around things that sometimes you don't look at. And it can give you a new perspective from that point too.
Absolutely. So in the UK, we have some common misconceptions, I would say, from in terms of what coaching and consulting is like for business owners. People are quite afraid to have someone come in and peel back the layers on their own brain and their business brain and everything. So I'm curious, have you come across anything like this before? Have you ever experienced it?
Oh, no, definitely. I mean, they're always worried when somebody's coming in to look from the outside, right? They're afraid what's under the covers. And I think that's part of the process of getting them to understand that coaching is a profession, that we have ethics and we follow certain standards. And I think that's the most important part that I try to convey when I'm working with a business owner that I'm going to come in is that I'm there to really help you out. And the more that you can share and that you're open and honest with me, the better off I can put a plan together and work with you and your team to get you to a better level. So it falls into that because some people don't see it as a serious profession. And it may be just from something they saw, or maybe it was an early on, experience, but it's really trying to help them understand that there's a lot of training that's gone into it, a lot of continuing ed that continues in here. And our goal as a coach is really to help them bring their business to the next level. And without looking at everything inside, it's very hard to get that better outside perspective if it's limited in what we can do.
Exactly, and as Marshall Goldsmith says, it's what got you here isn't going to get you there. So it's being open-minded. Yeah, absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. So I like to put a scenario out where if I'm in corporate now, I've got a career of 15, 20 years, and my dream has always been to become a business coach or an exec coach. Well, what kind of advice, seeing as you've done it, what kind of advice would you give me right now making that leap into the industry?
So I always ask them, so what have you been doing currently? Because you've probably been mentoring people. I
Yeah.
try to find out. So you've been mentoring, what have you been doing? And the big thing is, when do you want to make the leap? Do you want it right now, or, is it in down the road? And so investing in a coaching program and having them look at the different options are an important part. Because even though they've been doing it and they may say, oh, I can do the one-on-one conversations or I can do the group work, it's always good to get that outside training just to make sure there's not any blind spots they're missing. So I say, look, I'm more than happy to help you and work with that and kind of find the opportunities. And we can do a little role playing here to see how you like it a little bit more and get you some of the other sides. But it's really just kind of helping them walk through the steps and then bringing them into it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, no, I completely agree. So, what's the plan for you, Mark? What are the aspirations you have for your firm?
Um, my goal in the firm is to really go more international. So one of the things I've been doing is reaching out to more companies internationally and trying to get that opportunity to go in and a lot of companies don't have that executive coaching. Some of the places I'm going to Taiwan and China coming up in 2 weeks, and I'm going to be doing some talks around like executive leadership and leadership coaching with that, how that's going to help them, their team, and grow their business. So part of that's my process is really to get out there and to really kind of expand my business, really bring in more staff. Right now I have three, but I want to bring more in as I expand out there to handle some of the different inquiries and different things that we need to do.
So your current team right now, they US based, or you've got some that are international?
I have an international virtual assistant who helps out, and then she takes care of a lot of the nuances that I really don't have time for, and she's great at. So it works out well.
Yeah, we have a few international team members that are just fantastic that help kind of support the business in that sense. But that's amazing. That's really, really cool. So these kind of talks you're going around, that's awesome. So you're going to China, did you say?
Yes. Yeah. August 8th, I'm going. I'll be in Taiwan, Taipei for a couple of days doing some talks, and then I'll be in Shanghai and Beijing.
Awesome. So with all these big plans, so what are some of the challenges that you perceive that you'll come across on the way?
I think it's just stepping into the uncomfortable and making that expansion happen. So getting a few more part-time people in. And I've also been looking at acquiring some coaching businesses. There are a few coaches I know that are looking to retire or step out. So kind of bringing on their caseload, their client load. And so part of that's, an outlay of investment that I have to make and make sure I evaluate it well. And then just also figuring out who are the next staff members I need to bring on to make it a viable business that's going to be successful.
That's really exciting. I've actually not come across anyone that's acquired another coaching firm before, so that's cool.
It's going to be interesting, and so it's trying to value the clients and what he has, and to make sure that people are going to stay on. That's the other part.
Yeah, you can't guarantee that, can you? So,
Yeah,
very interesting one.
yeah.
Well, so technology-wise, looking ahead, I mean, here at this firm, we are constantly finding new pieces of technology to use in every area of the business. It's always happening. Are you, utilizing a lot of technology, and how do you feel like you're going to shape your programs around that in the future?
I think one, just what we've been talking about, AI is one that I'm still learning and growing with and trying to understand better and trying to get more training around and understanding how that maybe can be used with like looking at larger data sets of business performance metrics and how I can use analytics with that. And then even just looking out on the web into the advanced data analytic tools to kind of figure out, deeper insights into kind of client organizations, team dynamics. So that's really what I'm trying to figure out of how I can apply it in that, executive coaching area.
Awesome. That's great. Great. So, what I like to end on with these interviews is a little bit of education guidance from yourself. So, what I like to ask is, what is one book? It can be business related or not, but what is one book that you would recommend everyone they have to read at least once?
I'm going to say Brendan Bouchard's The Six Habits of Growth. So I don't know if you've read it, but it's just it's around personal development, but it really gets into six fundamental habits and it's kind of unlocking your potential. And it gets into like seeking clarity, generating energy, raising necessities so that you have to take action, increasing productivity, developing influence, and really demonstrating courage. And you can use that both as a person in your private life, but also as a leader, as a business person. And it really just helps you look at different ways that you can approach life
Hmm,
and simple little tricks that you can use, like a doorway trigger, to remind yourself when you're going in a meeting, I need to be confident, I need to focus on this. And you remind yourself before you walk in the door of what actually has to happen. And it helps you step out of your comfort zone and get more confident and make better connections.
Amazing. Okay. Well, I'm pretty sure I have that somewhere. So, I'm going to go back and revisit that one.
Okay.
Um, but look, thank you so much for coming on. If people want to find you and contact you, where can they find you?
So simply just go to markdanaher.com, markdanaher.com. They can reach out to me that way.
Fantastic. Well, Mark, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure.
All right. Thank you so much.